Okay, so let's take a look at the back of a few DJ mixers. This is the connection panel of my Pioneer DJM 700 mixer. If we wanted to take a line out of the recording for this mixer, then we can take it out of the recording out, next to the booth monitor outputs, which are here. For this, I'm using an RCA cable corresponding to the colours on the mixer, so red to red and white to white. On my Vestax PMC05 Pro 3 mixer, this is simply taken out of the line out connections on the back, here. The other end of these connections are plugged into my Focusrite Scarlett. The channel toggle switches are both set to line and the gains are set to halfway. If you are going to use an RCA cable, then you will need to get an RCA to 3/4 inch jack and adapt the RCA to a jack so you can plug it into the interface. You can find these online or down your local audio supplier store. Make sure your channel volume is playing in the green so as to not send a distorted line level to your interface. On the Focusrite Scarlett, for instance, these should be green. If the volume's too high, then you'll actually see a red ring around the pots on the interface. It's either that or you'll see red appearing in Ableton Live as well, and this does not make for a great recording. For this, I'm going to rip in a track from a vinyl record. This track is W from the W EP by M. Ono and Loveless from their very own label Rose Records. If you want to use a smartphone or a tablet to connect to rip music into your computer, you can get a cable like this, a 3.5mm jack to RCA cable. And you can use your adapter if you're using an iPhone and plug it into the 3.5mm jack like this. Then you can use the 3/4 inch jack adapters and plug them into the RCA connections and plug these into your interface just like we did with the mixer. Plug it into your phone and you'll be able to record audio just like we recorded vinyl.
Ghost arrangements can give you a visual map of someone's musical ideas, how their theme works, and how they arrange their tracks. This technique allows you to reverse engineer other people's ideas so you can learn even more about how they made their tracks you are inspired by and eager to make also. Many music producers, when they start out, arrange their tracks from left to right as if they were writing on a page. If we think about it, this is a very natural way about arranging a track. We read from left to right and we write from left to right. By now, you should already have a DAW template set up. If you have, this exercise will be easy. If you haven't, go and make one and come back to this tutorial. We have tutorials on making DAW templates on our website www.undergroundmusicreview.co.uk or our YouTube channel Underground Music Review or UMR.tv. Now obviously to make this work you will have to first open your DAW with your new spangly DAW template and open up an audio channel. To open up an audio channel you can right click over here, insert an audio track, or you can press Command T if you're on a Mac, or you can press Windows key T if you're on Windows. Now we need to find a track that you actually like and that you want to analyze, and drag and drop this into the audio channel, and we will call this the reference track. Here's one I made earlier. Now you need to delete any instruments that you have in your channels. This will save file space and CPU down the line. So, for instance, in my kick track over here, I've got a simpler with a 909 kick. We'll just delete that. Bye-bye. And that will save me file space and CPU down the line. Now we need to save the project as the track name of the song you are analysing with Ghost Arrangement after the title. So save the project in a new project folder that you are going to make based on this track analysis. With new operating systems, and especially when you're using iTunes to buy and play your music, the files are AAC files. These files are not supported by most DAWs, and it prevents us from using the music in our DAWs. So if we have a look over here, we've got Disclosure and a track here called When a Fire Starts to Burn. If I try and drag and drop this into my audio channel, it's got a big no-go sign below the thumbnail. So we try and drop it in, and of course nothing happens. Now back in the day, these used to be MP3 files, so we could at our leisure drop anything that we wanted to into our DAWs. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case. But if you do buy your music on different platforms like Beatport and other platforms that are similar, if you buy WAVs and AIFF files, you can still do this. There are a few hacks that can help us get around this. If you're using digital files, you will either have to get the WAVs or the AIFFs, as said before, or you can take a line out of your phone, your iPad, your audio player into an RCA splitter and into your interface. This also works if you're a DJ and playing it through your decks and your mixer. You just have to take the recording out from the mixer and plug it into your interface. Now, if you are recording from a set of decks, either vinyl, CDJs, whatever it might be, you'll need to set up your DAW for this. So if you go to Live and then to Preferences, you can also open this up from the menu, or you can use Command and Comma, and this will bring you into the Preferences pane here. Now you need to select the audio tab, which is here, and the audio input device should be your recording interface, much like the Scarlett we talked about earlier on, and how to connect your decks from your mixer to the interface, or your phone or your iPad or whatever device you might be using. So once this is selected, you then need to go over to here and select which channels you're going to be using. So 1 and 2 for left and right, or if you are recording in mono, then it will just be 1 or 2. As my interface only has 2 channels, it is 1 or 2, or of course both. Then I actually switch this to off rather than in or auto. So. And then I also obviously record the track itself, and then we record. Okay, so once we've set all that up, it's time to get cracking and start doing a ghost arrangement on our track that we've selected. So the best way to do this is to warp your track so it's actually in time. So when you do start painting things in, it is in time. We won't cover that in this tutorial, but there are other tutorials that are available on undergroundmusicreview.co.uk, or if you'd like to go to YouTube, it's under umr.tv, or just search for Underground Music Review. Now let's start. As we start this particular track, we can hear a tambourine. We've got a snare, a finger click, and a hi-hat. Just before the kick drum comes in with a muted piano or a filtered piano. Okay, so the best way to do this is to start drawing in some MIDI channels. So the best way to do that is to Shift Command T if you are on a Mac, and Shift Windows T if you are on a Windows computer. But you can also just right click and insert MIDI track as well. Okay, so now we need to paint in some MIDI bars into these MIDI channels that we've created. But before we do that, let's rename the MIDI channel to the respective sound. So I'm going to call the first one Tamb. I'm going to call this second one hi-hat. And this one finger click. So this just gives you an idea of what the sounds are that you're trying to represent in the ghost arrangement. So let's have a listen again. Okay, so let's paint in the tambourine. So let's highlight the area of the grid here that you want to paint a MIDI clip in. And the best way to get a MIDI clip in there is Shift, Command and M. And that will paint one in for you. And then let's duplicate those. So Command D, and that will then start duplicating that out as far as a tambourine sound will go. And then, of course, we do have a hi-hat in here as well. Let's have a listen. So the hi-hat is there. It's a bit syncopated, which is off the beat, but still it's within this section here with the percussion and the highs as well with the tambourine. So let's just paint one in. Highlight the grid area, Shift Control M, Command M, sorry, and then just duplicate that across as well. Now you can actually make these different colours. You can highlight these and you can make them different colours to represent the different sounds, to give you more of an idea of what you're looking at and when they come in and when they come out. And then obviously as we move through the track, we can paint them in when they come in. Obviously, we represent them with the bars of colour, and when they're not there, we don't paint them in at all. So if we come to this section of the track, for instance, the kick drum will come in. So let's paint in a kick. It starts here. So I like to work in bars, so I'm just highlighting 4 segments of this here. Shift Command M, and that will give me the kick, and then I can just duplicate this across as far as the kick goes. And then when the kick does drop out, for instance in this section here, we'll just leave the kick out. So if we just fast forward to this section, as the breakdown comes in and the kick disappears, the tambourine and the hi-hat carry on through in the breakdown, and then of course the kick will carry on, so we can just move a kick over to here, and as the kick comes in, it's represented in the track. Now we just go through the whole track and we paint in all of the elements that we can hear, and then afterwards we can see the whole ghost arrangement, and we can see effectively how the track was made. And then we can use it either for our arrangements in our tracks, and we can actually see what sounds work together, and just take an example from professionals that we're inspired by. Great technique. Okay, so as we build up the ghost arrangement now, you can see that the things coming together. As you can see, we've got the snare and the hi-hats and the tambourines, etc., and with the reference track here, which all corresponds to the stuff coming in and out. But as you can see, we've got the piano rise here, which is detailed in here. We'll cover that in a second. The vocals and the synth horn come in there, and just before as well, which is quite a nice little sort of transition into the breakdown. So let's just have a listen. Okay, so as the breakdown comes in, we can actually detail this as well. As you can see, I've put some other markers here. Tension and the drop for when it drops back into the main theme of the song. So what we can do is we can come up to this section here where you get the speaker icon where you can where you can play from. And just right click there and add locator, and this will snap to the grid in any part that you want something to show. And if you right click on it again, you can rename it, and we can just type in breakdown here. So this gives a little bit more detail into the ghost arrangement here. So as we come up to it, and as you can see, the breakdown didn't actually come in there, but we can actually move this to where it is, so it's in the right place.
Oh, baby. Baby.
As the breakdown carries on here, we come towards a bit of tension before the drop, and it'd be really nice to sort of detail what's happening here. So as we can hear that we've got a pad or string sound coming in here, and we've also got a piano riser, which is sort of like an EQ. It's almost had like a low pass filter put on the piano sort of riff from before in the track. So if we just listen to this here.
Baby, 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 baby.
We can just hear this pad sound, string sound getting louder and louder to create tension before the drop.
Baby, baby, baby.
Got a bit of sidechain compression on it to give a bit of rhythm as it comes in. And there's the drop, and I've also detailed that with another marker as well, just to show where that is. But what we can do in this pad string section here is we can actually use a utility device, and we can find that in this section here in the audio effects. We can just type in utility. I just type in util and it comes up with utility, and we can just drag and drop that into the channel. And the reason for that is you can actually click on this little pot here, or this dial, whatever you'd like to call it, and you can actually go up to this area here, just below the two drop down menus. You'll find a plus sign, and what that will do is that will put an automation lane in here. And depending on what skin you're using and look and feel of Ableton Live, this will appear red. And what we can do is we can actually grab this and bring it all the way down. As you can see, the gain in the utility will also go down as well. And if we paint little, you can click along this, and you can actually move this up and down. And give this sort of like little volume risers and and things like that to drop in volume and out as well. So if we go through this riser and put one a point at the end and bring this up to where the volume would actually be, this will actually show the rise of that riser coming in volume. And we can also do it here for this piano riser here. Just quite literally just drag and drop a utility here. Click the pot, come up to this section here between the two drop-down menus, and click the plus, and then it will open up a automation lane, and we can do the same thing here. Just click the little dots, bring one down here and one up here, and that will just detail where the riser's going, as to where it comes in. And that just gives you a little bit more detail in your ghost arrangement. So let's have a look at this working.
Baby, 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 baby,
Okay, so as we can see now, we have a full ghost arrangement made with different risers in, based on the reference track here, with all of the MIDI bars painted in which represent the arrangement of the track. So if we minimize these all down now, these groups of our DAW template, we can see the arrangement here and how they've made the track, and we've noted the sort of sounds they've used in the process of making the track. So what we can do now is we can actually save this template, or this ghost arrangement, sorry, to a file. So what we can do is you file save live set as, and I've put this as UMR, setting up a ghost arrangement 4. We'll just do it as number 5. It's a different version, and then what we can do is we can start a new live set. So this will be starting a new project. So we'll just start a new live set, and then what we can do essentially is drag and drop this ghost arrangement into our new project. So what we'll do before we do anything, save live set as, and we'll just set it up as new idea 1, for instance, and this will be in the same folder as the ghost arrangement for the project. And then what we can do is we can go and find the ghost arrangement. So just go over here into your menu, to your side browser, and go to current project, and you will see here that you've got new idea 1, which is our current project, and here we've got the ghost arrangement here. So what we can do is we can actually grab this project and drag and drop it into Ableton, and as you can see, you've now got your project up here, and you've got the ghost arrangement directly under it with the reference track of the original song that we put in. As you can hear, I've actually got all my other instruments that are loaded up to play there, so we'll just turn those off. Okay, and if we highlight all of these groups, then we can actually minimize them, you'll actually see that you have your arrangement underneath your new project. So when you go to arrange your track, you can basically, one for a better word, copy the arrangement, or it will give you some ideas and some guidelines of if you are inspired by the track, you want to make a track like this, then you can actually design the project, your project, very similarly to the one that you've just ghost arranged. So great technique. If you need any other assistance or you want to watch some other tutorials, go to www.undergroundsmusicreview.co.uk. All of our tutorials are there with our blog posts as well, and some other bits and pieces that we are working on. So do go there and tell your friends about it. If you'd rather go to YouTube, then it's umr.tv. If you can't find it there, then we are the UMR logo in white writing on the red background.